Hello everyone and welcome to episode 19 of my GregTech New Horizons playthrough. As you can see, my interface is a little bit different. That is because after recording this episode, I finally updated to version 2.4. So next episode, we will see what kind of changes happen between versions. Even though we are still in the early game, I think we still see a few changes. Now let's jump into the meat of this episode. Logging in after episode 18, I ran into a little crash report. I am always scared when I see these, as I am not a mod pack wizard. And I have lost a few worlds due to crashes. Luckily, this wasn't a big deal. I just restarted the game and everything loaded up fine. So we start the episode off searching for some sulfur in the nether. The nether in this mod pack is super dangerous, but it's the only place I have access to that contains sulfur. There are also many other items I need to keep an eye out for here, like glow flowers that I just picked up. They are a good source of glowstone. I'm also looking for nether gardens and burning blossoms for the healing axe quest. To help me look for the sulfur veins, I am using the ore finder tool we made last episode. We learned last episode that we can use the crushed and impure versions of a particular ore to find the veins. So I did just that. Once I found a small sulfur ore, I put that in my ore finder and it located some veins for me. Off camera, I was searching around with the impure sulfur in my ore finder, and like I just said, I got a message that 3 veins were found. So not only does this ore finder help with finding ores, but it also saves it to our journey map too. And by the sounds of this ore finder, we are on top of a sulfur vein. So let's dig down and see what we find. Also, here are some nether gardens to check off the list. Just as I suspected, we ran into a lava lake, so I will try to find an easier vein to get to. Well, kind of easier to get to. I ran into some trouble and almost died. But hey, it's the nether, right? And running this pack on a laptop has its challenges with lag, as we can see here. I am working on a solution for this, but it's taking a bit of time to get the funds for a better setup, so I apologize for the videos being a bit choppy. I'll be honest here, it was too laggy for me in this battle, and I had no idea what was going on, so I just tried to run and barely escaped with my life. After all that mess, I did some more sketchy traversing around the nether and found the sulfur vein I was looking for. But I needed to clear out my inventory because there is a quest for the ores here in this vein, so back to the base I went. While back at the base, I figured we would knock out a few quests to get us set up for future projects. Starting with making some molds. These molds will be used in various machines to make components easier and cheaper to craft. To make these molds, we will first need to craft some casings out of aluminum brass. Then these casings into forms. I also wanted to get my aluminite started to see just how much steel, aluminum, and obsidian I will need to craft the upgraded tool station for Tinker's Construct. But for now, let's just complete the alumite quest, and we will work out the rest of the alumite that I will need later. For the molds, it takes 4 ingots of steel per form. So let's start melting down some steel. So that completes the molds quest, which unlocks this pumping waters quest. I've never used this item before, but maybe I will try to get a good use for it in the future. Also, the reason we need sulfur, if I haven't mentioned already, is because we are in need of rubber. Rubber will be used for wires in the near future, and to make rubber, we need sulfur and raw rubber dust that I get from extracting the sticky resin. So let's start processing some of the sulfur that I have already gotten. So to get further off track, while I wait to process down some sulfur ore, I saw some quests that I could complete and get out of the way, even though they weren't all that useful to me right now. This particular quest was asking for a bronze sword blade, but I have already made a steel one, so I will just melt the blade back down. The tool rods, however, will be useful for my other tools. I will also complete the rapier quest and just melt down those pieces as well. Not sure why I made 2 though. Then I used the bronze tool rods on my pick for a little more durability and one on my shovel. I have a full stack of crushed sulfur processed, but I need to send it back through the macerator again to process down further into impure sulfur. At the same time, I am processing some raw rubber dust in my extractor. The recipe for the rubber is 3 raw rubber dust to 1 sulfur dust. This yields 1 rubber bar, which is shown here. Next, I wanted to start harvesting some wool off my sheep, so let's make some shears. Boy, that's a GregTech recipe. With the magic of video editing, I have all the components needed to make the shears. So let's start getting some wool. I will also need some tanned leather soon, which requires a drying rack. And that is just a few wood slabs and a couple of wood screws. So let's make a few of these. In order to make the tanned leather, I will need to make bound leather and then dry them on these racks that I just made. Let's place these over here for now until I find a better place for them. While waiting for stuff to process, I noticed that I have a few quests to claim the rewards on, so let's knock them out for now. I remembered that I did get these iron blocks when I made the anvils for my forge hammer a few episodes back. While completing quests, I noticed this lapis quest would be easy to complete. All I needed to do was melt down some of the lapis ore I had got and make it into lapis lazuli. I think I will eventually put some of this on my pick for the luck modifier. I also only need one more to complete this gypsum quest, so I went and completed that also. Now that my sulfur has been fully macerated, I can drop it into some water to clean it to get the sulfur I need for making rubber. You will notice soon that I really messed up a few episodes back when I made this high pressure coal boiler. Yeah, mistakes were made. I never hooked up the water to the boiler and thought that it didn't get that hot, but I was very wrong. Time to see when the latest backup was done. So this is the first time I have loaded a backup, so I wanted to show my process. I found the latest backup and pressed the restore backup button. This creates another game save, so you'll have to load up the new backup created. Unfortunately, the latest backup was from a few minutes ago, so I will have to do a few things over again, but I think that is better than trying to fix everything that blew up. Now let's do things the right way. Hooking the water up before putting the coal in the boiler will prevent things from blowing up. Okay, now that we have water, I needed to get these boilers fired up because rubber is an alloy smelter recipe, and we know that the alloy smelter takes up a lot of steam to run. While we wait for all the rubber, I started to break down the soybeans I needed, or that I have farmed, into silken tofu. This is part of the Healing Axe quest that I would really like to complete soon. That completes the silken tofu that I need for this quest. Looks like later on in this pack, as we progress, these tofu items will be easier to get. That is kind of how this pack goes. It starts off hard and time consuming. Then as you get more efficient ways of processing stuff and automation for certain items, the pack gets a little easier, but for a bit until you start to work towards the next tier. Here are the 40 rubber bars we needed for the quest. Next, it looks like the quest wants us to make a few different wires, which is currently a pain because it requires me to first make plates and then make the plates into one wire. This is a recipe that will get way easier once we have some LV machines. And LV machines is the goal of this episode. All these quests that I am completing here are leading up to a steam turbine, which will convert the steam that I am producing into EU, I think it is. I don't know what EU stands for, maybe energy units, electrical units, I'm not sure. It's a IC2 electrical unit of measurement, so that's what this pack sort of uses for power. So EU is what we will be getting into next. This pack seems very tedious right now, but very, very soon it will become less tedious, although still tedious, but less so. Okay, so it looks like I need to turn the rubber bars into rubber plates in order to cover the wires. So I believe it's having me make these wires so we can make the little components for our first electrical circuit. So it's 2 bars for 1 plate. Man, that's a very expensive recipe right now. Right? How am I doing this? Why? Okay, I can do it in the alloy smelter. All right. So 2 bars for 1 wire will get us the wire that we're looking for here. All right, that makes sense. So we still got to do that in the alloy smelter. All right, so that unlocks the LV machine casing. And then we can make that into the machine hull. So that's where the steel and the wrought iron is going to come into play. So we took our steel, made them into plates, and then that makes us our LV machine casing. And then put a couple wires with a little bit more steel and a little bit of wrought iron. Gets us our first... Oh, wait. Let's make sure we completed the quest. That will get us our first LV machine hull. So that's a pretty big upgrade here. All right, next it wants us to make some rotors. That did not unlock LV yet, so... Looks like, okay, yeah, it's going to want us to get into the circuit board. All right, so it wants us to make motors, which we can do that pretty quickly. I like watching the fireworks go up. Looks pretty neat. Alright, still not unlocked. We're basically going to need to get to the circuit board, which is where this is leading us to. So now it's time for us to make some resistors, which should have everything we need. No, rotor first. And I believe I need 2 of those. There's our 2 rotors. Those rotors must be for the steam turbine. Alright, so now resistors. Maybe. Oh yeah, so it wants us to make the plate mold. I wonder why it didn't have us do that before. Getting into LV requires a lot of steel. I don't remember it requiring this much steel to get in there, but it's been over a year since I've done this, though. Between the molds and the plates you need, I mean, it's a lot of steel. Alright, so now this wants us to make the plates, which I really don't need. Oh, I guess I think I do need to. This isn't just for the wires. This is, I think, for something else. Make a little plunger. Not going to get into that right now. I don't know what that is. Strip off incorrect or useless NBT data. I don't know about that. Good old pollution. I'm not going to worry about this right now. Yeah, we definitely need to make the resistor. Or 2, actually, I think. And we already have some coal dust in our chest, so let's just clean that off. And make our 2 resistors for now. And then the vacuum tubes, which we're going to need the little glass tube, which I believe we can easily make that. Yep, in the alloy smelter. Let's make up a few of those. remember the vacuum tubes being kind of annoying to make in my last playthrough. So I might just batch craft a bunch of these. I don't know. I'm going to need a good amount of LV, these first LV circuits, so might as well batch craft a bunch. Probably do that in between episodes. Lots of fireworks. I can smell LV. We're getting so close. Alright, so circuit boards, we need wood plank things and some sticky resin, it looks like. Alright, so you just do the wood pulp in our compressor, gets us the wood plates or planks or whatever those are called. And then add some sticky resin to it. That'll get us our first circuit board. And then wrap that, oh, I need a little bit more copper wire. We'll just make a few copper plates because I'll need them here soon. Alright, there's the 2 copper wires I needed to finish this quest. So let's wrap that circuit board, or coated circuit board, with some copper wire to get us our circuit board. And then that should unlock the electronic circuit, and then the turbine. So yeah, that turbine is going to unlock LV. So we are finally getting to electricity. Yeah, we're going to need quite a few of these first electronic circuits, so I might as well make... probably don't need a whole stack, but... I mean, maybe. I don't know. I kind of forget how long it takes me to get from LV to MV and how many circuits I'm going to need. I haven't done that math, and I probably won't do it. If you remember back in, I think, episode 1, I kind of just said that I'm not looking to min-max this pack, so I'm just looking to have a fun time. And there is our first electronic circuit. That is a pretty big upgrade. I'm pretty pumped for that. Alright, then we're going to turn that electronic circuit into a steam turbine, I believe. Let's see what we need for the steam turbine. So the steam turbine generates electricity from steam. The power source you've been using is the same, but from this point you will be generating EU and bring it to your machines via cables. Yeah. At a later point, you'll most likely switch from steam to another fuel source. Yeah, we'll see. Steam is just so simple. Alright, so I need to make a couple pipes to finish this up. Bingo. And there is our basic steam turbine. So that gets us into the LVH. And I think that's going to do it for this episode. Look out for episode 20 coming up soon. Yeah, I'm going to upgrade the pack, and we're going to get into some LV stuff. So I hope you guys are excited as I am. And yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I look forward to getting into electricity on episode 20. So thank you. Bye-bye.